WhatsApp now that I've sent it to you for some details on.
So I didn't get your details.
My personal details, na?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I have educational background of I did my BCom. I'm a commerce graduate.
Okay.
And then I did my MBA from marketing and foreign trade management.
Okay.
After that, I worked for a private company named Sterling Holiday Resorts for 2 years in Delhi.
Okay.
And later on, I shifted to my own personal business, and we started our agri-based business basically. We get into floriculture, and we started our firm named Bharti Flora.
Okay.
And nowadays, since 2015, we are into dairy and organic farming.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, is the voice is not clear, or like it's not audible?
Yeah, it's clear. So it is clear. So little bit louder.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So you are also into the movement. You associate.
Yeah, I'm also associated with now Arjak Sangh, the youth wing named Manavadi Chhatra Yuvjan Sabha. I'm basically as a Rashtriya Sangrakshak for them, and we are operating in more than 6 states right now. And
okay, Manavadi. Manavadi
Chhatra Yuvjan Sabha. Arjak Sangh.
Okay. So people are joining.
Ji.
So we will start soon. Siddharth ji. So Siddharth ji is also joined. I hope Siddharth ji is there. So Manoj ji, I think Dharmavir was referring. Is this same Manoj Kumar? Dharmavir Yadav was referring your name.
No. I think I am not that Manoj Kumar. I am associated with Arjak Sangh.
Yes. Dharmavir also told me that you are associated with Arjak Sangh, working in Jharkhand and other areas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Manoj ji. Thank you. Thanks for your participating. I also request after presentation you also little bit add. So Siddharth ji, आवाज आ रहा है क्या? My voice is clear?
आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी.
Siddharth ji, please check your voice. So I request you to check your voice.
Samsung Galaxy i15 भी अच्छा है।
Connect हो गयो।
Siddharth ji, please check your voice.
हेलो जी।
हाँ सर जी।
पढ़ाई लिखाई कंप्लीट हो गया।
बंद कर दी।
Siddharth ji, can you check your voice? So people also joining from different states. So from West Bengal, Telangana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh. So from Karnataka, from different places, participants are joining. It's really good sign that people are interested across India in this lecture. So I would like to also inform you that we are on Facebook Live at Satya Shodhak Facebook page. So people are also watching on Facebook this lecture. Okay. So I also welcome Professor Challapalli Swaruparani Madam from Nagarjuna University.
डिस्कनेक्ट क्या?
Siddharth ji, can you check your voice? So that we can start. Hello. So I think Okay, so I think we'll start within 2 minutes. Just I'm waiting for Siddharth to check his voice.
हाँ वॉइस आ रही है.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Manoj ji, Manish ji, please check your voice. So I am not able to listen you.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. So shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So good evening to everyone. I welcome on behalf of Satya Shodhak, I welcome you all, both in Zoom meeting on Facebook. So I welcome you all for this Satya Shodhak lecture series on anti-caste Shudra intellectual traditions. Today we have a lecture, that is 12th lecture on Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati. And Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati is well known leader, fighter, reformist, politician, writer, thinker, so who have contributed a lot towards social movements, and particularly for the justice to the oppressed. And he wrote many books, more than 20 books, which are available in the public domain. So along with Ram Swarup Verma, Lalai Singh Periyar, and other people who have equally contributed to the anti-caste and liberation of the oppressed people, stood for the justice, and his contribution is enormous. So when we had a small discussion with Siddharth, so I asked him to, why don't you recommend somebody who can speak on Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati. So immediately Gagan Dharmavir Yadav also suggested, Siddharth also suggested Manish Bharati name, and immediately I approached Manish Bharati, and is happily accepted, willing to present and deliver a lecture on Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati. So this is the lecture series that we have started. The objective of the lecture series is to identify the anti-caste thinkers from the Shudra communities, their contribution, their ideas, their writings. So engaging with those personalities.
आवाज आपकी आ रही है?
Yes, sir. Siddharth, voice is coming. Just I am introducing today's speaker. So the aim of the lecture series is to identify the anti-caste thinkers, their contribution, their writings, and their ideas, their influence on many progressive laws which are introduced in the constituency assemblies, parliament, and so on. So, and today we have with us Manish Bharati, who is well known among the young activists, writers, leaders, who has graduated from the post-graduated from the commerce. So, but however, is continuous effort in contributing the social movements is also equally important, and who directly comes from Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati family. So that is really, organically connect his voice with his legacy. So Manish Bharati is continuously engaging with the legacy of Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati contribution, is spreading literature, is also propagating his ideas through different forms, and currently is also patron of the MCYS Manavadi Chhatra Yojana Sabha, which is part of the Arjak Sangh. Arjak Sangh contribution towards anti-caste thinking, liberation of the majority of the oppressed in this country is enormous and historical. So still Arjak Sangh is working in different states, particularly in North India. So when we talk about Arjak Sangh, I think two important names at least become very important. One is Ram Swarup Verma, Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati, names become very important, along with the other many equally important personalities like Lalai Singh Periyar and others. So therefore, I request Manish Bharati to deliver a lecture, a detailed lecture on Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati, his contribution, his writings, his relevance. The format of the presentation is Manish Bharati will speak for 50 minutes or 1 hour, dealing with different aspects of the Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati, and then we have with us as a moderator Siddharthi, Dr. Siddharthi. Siddharthi is an independent researcher and journalist, writer who has been writing and producing books. He also produced a book on Savitribai Phule and Bohujan icons. He keeps continually writing on Hindi daily newspapers, in Forward Press, and his contribution is also very important. Last time he delivered a lecture on Lalai Singh Periyar. So he is also with us today. So after Manish Bharati presentation, he will also speak, and also we have Manoj Kumar, who is also working with Arjak Sangh. He will also participate in the discussion and add some of the information that will be helpful for us. So in question answer session, you can directly pose or you can message. So this is the format of the presentation. With this, I request Manish Bharati to begin his lecture.
Thank you very much, Gopani, and it was my pleasure to be a part of this program that actually talks about the all the legends that who had given and tremendous kind of work, who had done a tremendous kind of job in the social upliftment of the weaker section of the society. And it's a very proud moment for me to discuss about Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti. I do have a privilege that I belong to the same bloodline and the same family. That, as you rightly said, the legacy. Yes, it's a legacy to be a part of that family. Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti, a name that actually speaks about the scientific temperament in the society and the Indian politics. I don't see any other politician.
Please a little bit louder.
Okay. I don't see many politicians in Indian political scenario who actually work hard on propagating the scientific temperament in the society. There are different politicians, there are different social workers who work hard in the society for to fight against the disparity and the taboos, the jati system, the varna vyavastha, and the inequality that is there. But I really not able to find a single other example than Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti, who fought for all those things on the basis of scientific studies and the scientific reasonings. And that's why Maharaj Singh Bharti become altogether a different personality from other people. As we start, I start my lecture on him, and I tell you what all kind of contribution that he had given to the society. Let me start with a very initial journey, how he started off. Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, he belongs to a Jat community, which Jat community is mostly you find in the northern part of India, and especially in the region like Haryana, part of Western UP, Punjab, and a big part of Pakistan, and goes till Afghanistan in that area. And Jat community, as everybody knows, that they are actually more concerned about their workmanship and about their heroism and their commitment towards the work ethics, rather than going for any god and spirituality. They are not they're not known for that. Nowadays, it's a very different scenario altogether. But initially, the Jat community was like that only. So Maharaj Singh Bharti was born in a Jamidar family on 1st November 1918 in a small village named Arnavali. His father name was Chaudhry Nidhram Singh, and mother's Chandan Kaur. And he was the only child. He was the only child of Chaudhry Nidhram Singh. And initially he got the education with the help of a home tutor. His primary education was been arranged at home level only. A tutor used to come and teach him about all the basics, the primary education. And at the age of 6, he joined Devanagari School, high school. It's a intermediate school. It's a high school basically in Meerut city, which is around 15 kilometers from his native village. And then he get himself into the hostel, and he was in the hostel for the rest of his school life, from 6th to 10th standard. For 4 years he was there. But Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti was always, right from the beginning, he was, by nature, he was an atheist. And, once he started getting his education, he started his education. The first thing he opposed was that he said, okay, I don't want any kind of, those rituals. That is like, the first thing he stopped in his family was that the Shrad thing. He opposed that. He said, okay, from now onwards in our family, there will be no Shrad, because this is all stupid. This is nothing to be done. And I don't believe in all this thing. At a very early age of, at age of 13, 14 years, he had taken that call. And he was very fond of reading the socialist movement that was going around the world at that time. I'm talking about 1930, 32. That was the time when there are a lot of ups and downs were there in the world history, and socialism and communism was actually picking up in a different zones and different areas. And he was also very much inclined towards the idea of socialism. And although he belonged to a Jamidar family and got a very good status in the society, he always think about the poor. He always was concerned about the equality. That equality was one thing Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti was looking around throughout his lifetime. And when he talk about equality, when he start talk about the liberty of the country, the freedom movement, his friends and his childhood friends start teasing him, and they start calling him, okay, you are the Bharti, तुम ही भारतीय आए हो, तुम ही देश को आजाद कराओगे, और तुम्हारा क्या तुम लोग क्या करना चाहते हो. So, those school days, I mean, one can understand, a student studying in 6th, 7th standard or 8th standard. A lot of students were there who were actually non-serious about the freedom movement at that time and about the social the movement at that time. But he was concerned, and because of that concern about the society and the country, his childhood friends start teasing him. with they start calling him Bharti for that. And that was the first political and the social decision he have taken at that time. And he said, okay, fine, I'll use Bharti as my nickname. He dropped his surname and he identified himself with that name, and he adopted Bharti as a surname. And when people ask him, what do you mean by Bharti? He says, Bharti means Indian, no caste, no religion. So that's how he started, and that was the first political and social message he started giving, and he adopted that thing for himself and live it throughout his life. And when we are, as his, his family, we also adopting the same name, and we are very proud to be that we are a Bharati. We don't belong to any caste. We don't, associate ourselves to any religion as such. So that was the initial phase where Maharaj Singh Bharti was actually, he was in a making. And then late in 1937, when he completed his 10th standard, after that he joined the Indian freedom movement, and he was with Congress at that time. Actively participating in all the movements at that was taking place at that era. And he has a very, about Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, one thing was very clear throughout his life, that he tried to take things up front. He always loved to you think little different from others, and he think very rationally about the things. So at one time he was actually very active participant in the Congress party, and taking active participation in the freedom movement. At the same time, he was a very close associate with the HSRA people, that Bhagat Singh and Chandraiah's party. Although they were not there anymore, because Bhagat Singh and Chandraiah both have been, they have been Martin, and but that organization was there. And I remember, my father, my grandfather, most of the time there was, they tell the story that once they were trying, testing a country-made pistol, and it got wrong, and he got all the sprinklers in his right hand. And so he was in a fix, like how to go, because if he go to a doctor in a hospital, then the police will come up and took him away. So we had a family doctor named Dr. Das, Dr. Bipin Das. So he said, "Ki theek hai Bharti ji, I'll operate you at your home." And then he get his operation done, and so he was like, it's not just he is just a Gandhian. He is actually a true socialist. And when we talk about socialism, the socialist concept was the only concept at that time which was talking about the equality in the society. So he was an active member of Congress Socialist Forum that was there in Congress before independence. And in that Congress Socialist Forum, there was like Dr. Lohia was there, Jayaprakash Narayan was there. Then the big names, in socialist movement, all they were a part of that socialist group. And after the freedom movement, when we got the independence in 1947, Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti was a learner. He was throughout his life, he has a passion of learning, actually. And that shows about that reflects in his book also, in his literature also, in his life also. Like at the time when he passed his 10th standard, he already have a knowledge of 4 different languages. He knows Hindi as his mother tongue, then he knows English, then he knows Urdu, and he also knows Farsi, Persian language. So he was very well comfortable with those 4 languages. And after the independence, because he was with the socialist movement, and he was very much want to learn about what the social movement actually says, but he don't want to listen the Indian version only about the socialism. So he want to read the different literature that was available at that time. And he come across one problem at that moment. He find out that a lot of literature about socialism and communism was actually in Russian language, All the good authors were in Russian languages. So he decided, okay, I want to learn Russia for that, because unless and until I know Russian language, how can I read about those books, and how can I know the exact concept of socialism? So at that time, 1947-48, I think the Russian embassy was open in October 1947. In 1948, he take a decision, he take a call that I want to learn Russian. And there was no institution, there were no academic facility was available from where he can learn that language. There were not many courses, nowhere he can find a way to learn that language. So he approached the Russian embassy, and he tried, and he was able to convince the wife of Russian ambassador in India to taught him Russian language. Because so she said, okay, I'll just give you 1 hour every day, but you have to come every day now, and let me see how fast you can learn. It's all on you. So Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti used to, take a cycle from his village, come to Meerut, board a train from Meerut, go to Delhi, and from Delhi station he goes to Russian embassy, and from Russian embassy he's go there, take a lecture of 1 hour, 2 hour time, and then again come back to his village every day. And this is what he did for almost 3 months, 4 months. And when he was, quite able to, read those things, literatures, and then so that was the commitment level. So at the age of in 1948 he was equipped with 5 languages. And he's one personality who always say try to find the right reason of why the things are happening. He has a fascination about the scientific studies and the scientific the development that was taking place. And he talked about the social issues, all the social issues. He always tried to give a logical reason for that, a very scientific kind of a reasons for it. Like when he was, in 1962, there was one a small, there was Jati Todo Sammelan was there in 1948. In 1956. Jati Todo Sammelan was there, and he was a part in that. And he had given one very wonderful lecture in that, and he says why we need a different kind of a jati system is there. It is nothing. We all humans are one jati, and that is species, and that is that we all are Homo sapiens. So he tried to give everything, every social taboo, every social problem, he tried to give a very scientific and logical reason behind that. So after that, after that independence, when 1948, when the Socialist Forum got split and they form a new party, the Socialist Party of India, Acharya Narendev, Jayaprakash Narayan, Dr. Lohia, all those were there, when they form a new party, when they got a split from Congress. Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti was the founder member of that Indian Socialist, the Socialist Party of India. So he was like there, and his contribution, his learning was was on its best. लोहिया जी के साथ रहकर एक बहुत अलग तरह का उनके अंदर एक तार्किक क्षमता उनके अंदर बहुत जबरदस्त आ गई थी, और साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट बहुत जबरदस्त था उनके अंदर. वो लर्नर थे राइट फ्रॉम द बिगनिंग. ही वाज जस्ट कीप ऑन लर्निंग थ्रू आउट हिज लाइफ. तो सारी जिंदगी वो सीखते रहे एक स्टूडेंट की तरह. आई रिमेम्बर, मतलब he was the only person in my life. I saw him, sitting in front of a television with a paper and a pen and taking down the notes of a UGC program. There was a long time back, there was a UGC program that was been broadcast on the Doordarshan, for the university students. And I see my grandfather, Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, was taking note from those programs. I never come across anybody else, taking that kind of interest in learning, And he was at that time, he was at, I think in his 60s at that time. So after the Socialist Party was formed, and Maharaj Singh Bharti was among very senior leaders in that party. He has been given a ticket to MLA election in 1954, sorry. In 1954, he's been given, 52, he's been given a ticket from a Modi Nagar Vidhan Sabha seat, and he lost that election. But in 1956, as the socialist movement was taking, a very strong place in the society, there was one Apache Andolan was there. And he took he played a very important role in that Apache Andolan. It was basically for the farmers, and he been jailed for that in 1956. He been jailed for 3 months. And there was another movement from socialists that was for Hindi Andolan, that's called Hindi Andolan. He also got a jail for that. And also he was he was a part of another movement which is about the sugarcane strike in the Western UP zone, because in Meerut it's like in our region, sugarcane was a very important crop for the farmers. And there was a lot of the mills at that time was all in the hand of the private people. And so he stood for the farmers, and that was one of the most जिसे हम कहते हैं कि सबसे ज्यादा कामयाब किसान आंदोलन रहा जो गन्ने के किसानों का रहा हमारे यहाँ पश्चिम यूपी के अंदर. And that was a result oriented actually the andolan at that time. And his popularity was gaining, and he was a very good orator. He was anybody who knows Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti would at his time knows that he was a wonderful orator. And because of that ability, of his, he was such a good orator, and he know how to get the people involved and convince them and give them a logical kind of a reason for everything. Dr. Lohia gave him a very important role in 1957 election. In 1957, when there was a Vidhan Sabha election in Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Lohia gave him a responsibility that Bharti, you will not fight for MLA this time, but you let and help the people to come to Vidhan Sabha, and you have to, helping people and getting their election campaigning done. And we get you to Vidhan, in the council, get you MLC later on. And that's how it all happens in 1957. In fact, Ramswarup Verma, he was also got elected, and he was in the Vidhan Sabha at that time. And in 1958, as promised by Dr. Lohia, Maharaj Singh Bharti was been sent to the as the member of Legislative Council Uttar Pradesh. So he was the MLC in 1958, and Ramswarup Verma, he was the MLA in Vidhan Sabha. And both these leaders, because they both were from the Socialist Party, although Ramswarup Verma was very junior to him as compared to Maharaj Singh Bharti, because he was associated with the Socialist Party before independence. And Ramswarup Verma actually joined the active politics later in 1952 onwards, because in 1950 he completed his MA, and then he was in the active politics, and he fought the election in 1952 also. So Maharaj Singh Bharti was there, and both of them, they've been allotted a same hostel that was Rajkamal Hotel in Uttar Pradesh, and one of them has been allotted with flat number 3, and another has been allotted flat number 13. And both the people, both Ramswarup Verma and Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, was actually from the farmers' background. They know what are the problem in the society. They know the Egalitarians are the problems. They know the farmers' issues, and they were fighting for that for that Samtamulak Samaj in the socialist movement. And so they both become a very close friend, and very close friend at that time, during that his tenure as an MLC, and Ramswarup Verma as MLA in UP Vidhan Sabha. And again, he shows, his interest of learning during his MLC tenure. When he was as an MLC, he was staying in Lucknow. He joined a Bangla classes, and then he started learning Bangla. He said, "I want to learn Bangla," and at that time he equipped himself with one more language. So at the time when he was MLC, he knows how many 6 languages now. So and he and Ramsu Verma, they've been known as Hira Moti ki Jodi, and they were so close friends at that time. And during his performance, during his this tenure as an MLC, he had given a lot of suggestions and a lot of bills he had posed in that legislative council. And so Lohia ji asked him, ki, okay, now Maharaj Singh Bharti, you have to come to the center politics, and you have to fight for Lok Sabha. And in 1962, Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti has been given a ticket of Sangyukt Socialist Party. Now, I had missed one episode in this. There was a split in Socialist Party also in 1954, around 1952-54, I believe, when the Jayaprakash Narayan and Acharya Narendev, they form a different party, Praja Socialist. And there was a different group which was there with Dr. Lohia, and it's the Socialist Party. And then there's a reunion of those things, and there was Sangyukt Socialist Party in 1962. So, sorry, in 1957. So he fought an election on some Sangyukt Socialist Party in 1962, and he fought an election against one of the historical personality in Indian history. It was General Shah Nawaz. Yes, the great freedom fighter who was there in the Subhash Chandra Bose army. And he was a sitting MP from Meerut, and he was a minister as a cabinet minister in Nehru government also, and then later on in Lal Bahadur Shastri in India and Indira Congress. All three government, he was always remain as a minister. So he was a very strong personality, and it's not easy to beat him. In 1962, Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti fought a very wonderful election. Even BBC quoted him that it is one of the election in India that one must watch and see how the result going to be. And he lost in 1962. He was a sitting MLC at that time, and he lost to General Shah Nawaz in 1962. And in 1967 again, he fought for another election, same from Meerut constituency, again against the same candidate, General Shah Nawaz Khan. And this time, the result was different. He beat General Shah Nawaz with more than 40,000 votes in 1967, and he became the first non-Congress MP from Meerut. And in 1967, I think only 22 MPs were there from Lok Sabha with Lohia ji. And that was the time when Lohia was also been elected for the Lok Sabha. And in Lok Sabha, when Maharaj Singh Bharti won that election, there were a lot of stories are there. And if you come to Meerut, still people who knows there and see that election campaign, they remember him, because the one side it was the legendary Shahnawaz Khan, who was a great freedom fighter, Subhash Chandra Bose Army General, sitting MP and a cabinet minister. And he got all kind of resources with him. But Maharaj Singh Bharti fought to him with one single second-hand ambassador car and one mic. That was all he got at that time. And his total experience, he tried to give a new kind of a strategy. He always campaigned in the daytime, he campaigned in the village area, in the rural area, and at the night he started taking a very small mohalla meetings. And he just has his mic, a battery operated mic. He put it in on his shoulder, and wherever he got a chance, he got few people, he just start talking about the policies, he start talking about things. And he was, because by nature he was a very rational thinker, he never talked about any kind of a religious politics. That was not possible with him at all. He was a theist by nature. And because of that socialist concept, and he was talking about everyone, the last person of the society, the people have trusted him and voted him like anything, and he won that election. That was one of the most historical election the Meerut has ever seen in that contest, because now with those lines you can't even think about contesting an election. So Maharaj Singh Bharti, when he comes to the parliament, he again has, you know showed his love of learning. There was a institute in Connaught Place. So he joined that institute and he started learning Tamil. Yes, when he was an MP, that was his seventh language he learned at that time. So he was a learner throughout, and whenever he got a chance, he got an opportunity, he started adding his knowledge on that. And in 1967, when Lohiya passes away, uh, after that, the socialist movement was actually lose that aura, and those principles were no more were able to be safeguarded. So both these leaders, Ram Sarup Verma, Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharati, they start having a discomfort in that particular party, and they have decided, okay, let's talk about the real issues. Let's talk about the real issue, what is there. The inequality is there, so we need a Samta Mulak Samaj, and for that we need our own organization where we have our own principles, and we will give the new name, and the new जैसे कहते हैं ना कि एक धार देना, the new energy to this entire that movement that was required at that time. So after the death of Lohiya ji in 1967, uh, 1st June 1968, Arjak Sangh was formed. And Bharti ji was, at that time, he was an MP, sitting MP, and he was been allotted a Bangla 20 Windsor Place. And on 1st June 1968, the Arjak Sangh National Office has been opened at his house only, at 20 Windsor Place, New Delhi. And even there was a small episode there also. That particular house was actually been allotted to BP Maurya, Buddh Prakash Maurya. He was also a very big name in the social justice movement. His party was Republican Party of India, and he was an MP before that from Aligarh. In 1967 he lost the election, and he been asked to hand over that property, that bungalow, to Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti. So Maurya ji says कि भाई भारती जी, अब मुझे घर खाली करना पड़ेगा. And Maharaj Singh Bharti says कि भाई ऐसा है मौर्य जी, मैं तो गांव में रहता हूँ और गांव का ही आदमी हूँ, और गांव में, और मुझे तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में ज्यादा काम करना है. आप दिल्ली में रहते हो, पार्टी चलाते हो, तो आपको इसकी ज्यादा जरूरत है, तो मुझे तो एक कमरा दे दीजिएगा, बाकी घर में जैसे आप रहते हैं रहते रहिएगा. And entire his in his 4-year terms, he was there. BP Maurya and Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, they live in the same area, same koti, on that tenure. Maharaj Singh Bharti, when go to the parliament, he had done a tremendous, he shows the commitment he had lived with, and that reflect with the kind of proposal that he had given at that time when he was an MP. And one of them was, his first bill that he introduced as an MP at that time. I don't actually remember the first bill, but it's one of the most important bill he had introduced. That was the Religious Freedom Bill. Religious Freedom Bill was actually at that time that draws a lot of hue and cry, in the parliament on that. And the bill was like he plead like uh, let every citizen of the country has a right to choose a religion. Like religion is one thing that has been imposed by birth. People don't have a choice, you know. And his bill was like every citizen, every individual of the country should be educated about all the religions, like a student, learn the maths and the physics, the chemistry, the literature. The same way he should be studying religion as a subject. All the religions to be taught to the student. And once that student had attained an age of majority, he should have a choice of choosing a religion, whether he want to be a Hindu or he want to be a Muslim, he want to be a Sikh or he want to be a Jain or a Buddhist, whatever religion he want to choose. And when he introduced this bill in a parliament as a private bill, it was like the entire house was was sound like against him, and they all says ki this is not been done, and you cannot ask the person after the age of 18 to choose a religion, because in that case a lot of religions will not able to survive. Why the people going to be this choice cannot be offered to the person. And as a tradition, once a member of the house produce a bill, private bill, he also gave a submission on that. And Maharaj Singh Bharati gave a very interesting submission on it. He said ki my purpose is achieved. I want to tell, I want to tell the house that religion, all the religions, have actually lost their authenticity because of the new education, because of the new scientific evolution is there, new scientific studies are there. So the existence of God is not possible if you go through a learning process. So that's the reason. If somebody study a religion, he can never be a part of any religion. He prefer to be an atheist rather than following a religion which is based on illusions and which is based on all kind of कल्पनाओं पे जो आधारित जो हम धर्मों की बात हम करते हैं. So that was one of the bill that he had introduced in the Indian Parliament. The another bill he introduced was the development of buffalo. At that time, also the Jansangis, they were the today RSS and the BJP people. At that time, there was a political party named Jansangh, Bharati Jansangh. And the Jansangis at that time also have a very, they were very fond of cows at that time also. And they were, writing slogans on walls and street. Go dharm ka nata hai, gau hamari mata hai. So Bharti ji, when introduced buffalo development of buffalo bill in the parliament, he started his speech like saying that I don't have any reservations on calling cow a mata, but please tell me what a relationship we have with buffalo, whether she's a chachi, tai, phupi, mani, kuch to hogi, because the entire country has been fed on buffalo milk. It's not on the cow milk. The cheapest source of protein and the most healthy protein has been sourced by the buffalo. So buffalo has a more important role to play in the Indian society than cow. And we are not doing any kind of development and research program on buffalo. So he introduced this bill, and later on, the government of India agreed to it, and they open up a Buffalo Research Institute. It's a CIRB, which is a research institute on buffalo in Haryana. The another historical project that he introduced as a parliamentarian, as an MP in Lok Sabha, was a proposal of Tihri Dam. Not many people knows about it, and he has put up a private proposal for that, and he told the House like this is the situation where these kind of mountains are there, and if we make a dam there, this is the kind of, this much electricity we can generate, and these are the rivers, we can connect them. And that was the first time when, the connecting of river on national basis was been been discussed in the parliament. And he said if we connect all those rivers, on the uplines, and if we create this Tihri Dam, this is the total area under cultivation. The irrigated land area will increase this much, and India will going to be benefited with these figures, and the kind of figures that he had given in the parliament. At that time, the Minister of Irrigation was Dr. K.L. Rao. He was a very renowned minister. He was a minister in Jawaharlal Nehru cabinet also, and he known for his his work. I think 3-4 dams he had created in South India. He's a very well known figure, and he was irrigation. He was an engineer by education, and irrigation engineer he was. And after listening to Maharaj Singh Bharti's proposal of Tiri Dam, he praised him like anything in front of the house. And, he praised him so much that it upset Mrs. Gandhi. She was the prime minister at that time. And, she said, Ki, this is not the way that you should be praising an opposition MP. And KL Rao says, Ki, Madam, if you want, I can put my papers. But the kind of information Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti had given to the House, the government of India can spend N money and couldn't have this information. So the work that has been done, he is to be praised, and I have done my duty or my part, because I'm an engineer. I know exactly what he's talking about. So I cannot take away that thing from Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, because the way he had given the information about this project. So that is one project which is very very important. Later on, because private bills, we know the tradition how the parliament works. Later on, again, the government of India has taken up that project, and they have done certain changes according to it, and they bring a new project. Now we know that Tiri Dam project is there. It's one of the most prominent project in the North India. Then another thing that, as an MP, he demanded for a ring railway for Meerut, with the Meerut, for a rail that goes from Meerut and, take a circle round from Delhi and come back to Meerut. Then another one more fight he fight for Delhi to Saharanpur narrow gauge. He worked for hard for that, and able to get it into a broad gauge sanction. Then उसको उनको मिल गई थी सहमति उसके लिए. And then he also asked for the Meerut Delhi electrification as an MP. And another thing that he demanded was the EMU services from Meerut to Delhi. It's a local train services. As an MP, he had asked for all these things. There's another thing that Maharaj Singh Bharti we must know about his thinking about his life, about his learning aspect, and giving back to the society. I'll tell you later on how he used all this information for the upliftment of the poorer and the society as such. In 1970, when he was an MP, he planned a world tour. Government offer him, because he was a member of parliament, they offer him different tours. Okay, we can organize this tour, and you can go to this and this country and go and have your but he refused all the offers from the government, and he planned a private tour for 17 countries. And as a farmer, that's the basic farmer. This is why Maharaj Singh Bharti was so important to be studied. He had planned his entire tour. He had written letters to all the embassies and asked them only one thing: can you provide me a stay in a farmer's place? I don't want to stay in a hotel. Please tell me if you can provide me. I want to come to your country. I want to study the farmer, and I want to study the social, the society, the social structure of your country. And for that, I need to stay with some farmers, with their families. And can you provide me that? And very interesting episode in that, from the US, he got two response. One of the response says that, Mr. Bharti, we were not able to provide you any farmer, but we can provide you money. So tell us how much money you require. We can send you the finance for that. And the other offer from US they got, they say, we're not going to give you any finance for that, not a single penny. But yes, we can arrange one farmer from where you can stay, and we can provide you the farmer stay. So he chose, okay, I don't want money. I want to stay with the farmer. And for 100 days, that was a 100-day tour. And he spent 20,000 rupees for that tour. And it all happens just because he planned his tour according to, he planned his traveling, that he will be traveling at night only. He will taking all the flights at night, where he can take his food, his dinner, and the breakfast, so that he will save some money on the fooding. And he planned his stay to the farmer's place. And how he planned it? From India, he goes to Iran. From Iran, he goes to Israel. From Israel, he goes to from Israel. Just a second, I tell you. Actually, yeah, it is like from Israel, then it goes to Greece. From Greece, then to Yugoslavia. From Yugoslavia to then it's Bulgaria. From Bulgaria to East Germany, from East Germany to West Germany, from West Germany to France, from France to England, from England to Canada, and from Canada to US, from US to via Hawaii, goes to Japan. And in Japan, in fact, he also attended the longest stay was in America and Japan. And in Japan at that time, he also attended a conference. That was the 16th World Conference on the on hydrogen and atomic bomb. That was he participated on behalf of India in that conference. And from Japan, he goes to Taiwan. And from Taiwan, he goes to Thailand, Hong Kong. And from Hong Kong, he was supposed to go to Vietnam, but because of some reasons, that trip was cancelled. He was not able to get the visa in the last minute. And then he goes to Thailand, and from Thailand, he come back to India. That was the 100 days trip. And that was 100% his personal trip, and he spent 20,000 rupees on that trip. I don't know how he managed it. But he had a wonderful experience, sharing, going, staying with the farmers, living with the farmers of different countries, learning their agriculture practice, understanding what kind of social and economical kind of economical structures those different countries and the different societies have. And after gathering all that huge experience, actually, he wrote a book. Krishi Kranti. I'll show you that book. In fact, it was Krishi Kranti and Kisan Netritva. This was his book, and it carries all his experience about the agriculture, the different agriculture pattern across the globe, and the social economical factors. So he was MP till December 70, when Indira Gandhi dissolved the house. And after that, Indira Gandhi actually want him to join his cabinet. And she declared him as an FCI chairman, which is a cabinet mantri portfolio. And he refuses. He refuses because he and Ramswarup Verma, actually, they have taken a call that now they don't want to get in those political lines, and they want to work for the society. Arjak Sangh, they have already formed in 1968 after the death of Lohiya ji. And they were very sure that they are not joining any parties anymore. And as a messenger from Indira Gandhi, there was two people who have been sent it to our place. One was Mr. Ramchandra Vikal. He was a sitting MP from Bagpat, and there is another professor, Professor Vasudev Singh. He was at that time was the Adhyaksh of UP Vidhan Sabha. And they were the messenger, actually. They were been sent by Indira Gandhi, and they were asking, they were giving all kind of an offer to Maharaj Singh Bharti. Can just go once and just meet once Indira Gandhi. She's ready to give you any portfolio. Because if you remember in 1970, 71, that was a time when a lot of socialists have actually joined Congress. And in fact, Indira Gandhi government was saved by socialists. In fact, if अगर मैं ये कहूँ तो कुछ ज़्यादा गलत नहीं होगा. But they both these leaders, Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti and Ram Sarup Verma, they have actually decided their path. And in January 1971, they form a political party named Samaj Party. And they were also in association with Jagdev Babu. He was there in Bihar. They were in talking terms with them. And in 1972, the all the five different parties, the Shoshit Dal of late Jagdev Babu and Samaj Dal from Vermaji and Bhartiji and all three other parties. They all together they merge and they form a new political party named Shoshit Samaj Dal. Now, when he actually decided that he'll be going for the society, in 1972, he decided to change his workplace. Till 1970-71, he was working in UP, the Western UP area, Meerut, and that was his working zone. But in the in the Western UP and Bihar, in Punjab and Haryana, the social economical factors are very different than rest of the country. Here, actually, the economic conditions are very sound, and that was the reason why there was not many social movements are there. You don't find any big social movements from any social organization in Punjab, Haryana, or the Western UP. Because we don't have that kind of exotic, जो एक उत्पीड़न होता है समाज का, वो एक्चुअली में इस जोन के अंदर उस तरीके से नहीं था. इकोनॉमिकल डेवलपमेंट बहुत ज्यादा था. तो और ये जोन वो जोन है जहां अगर हम देखें तो ब्राह्मण्स और ठाकुर बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है. वो बहुत लिमिटेड एरियाज में है, बहुत छोटे हैं, उनकी ताकत बहुत कमजोर है. इसी वजह से कभी कोई बहुत बड़े सोशल रिफॉर्म्स इस एरिया में हुए नहीं, कोई जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, क्योंकि यहाँ उस तरह की जो परंपराएं हैं, जैसा कि हम सेंट्रल यूपी में, ईस्टर्न यूपी में, बिहार में, झारखंड में, छत्तीसगढ़ में जो हम देखते हैं जिस तरीके के हालात को, बंगाल में जिस तरह के हालात को हम देखते हैं, वो हालात कभी भी वेस्टर्न यूपी में, पंजाब में, हरियाणा में, इस पूरे जोन में कभी नहीं थे. तो इसीलिए उसको जब उन्होंने तय किया कि नाउ आई हैव टू गिव माय एंटायर लाइफ टू द सोशल रिफॉर्म्स, then he shifted his workplace from western UP to the center and eastern UP, Bihar and Jharkhand. And then he started writing books. There were two books he wrote actually at the very beginning. And one of them, while during his as a member of parliament, he wrote another book which is with the title Ganna Chini Samasya and Samadhan. Now, Ganna Chini Samasya and Samadhan, this is the book he wrote in 1970s. And in this book, actually, he was telling that instead of giving a license for a sugar factory, because from a sugar cane, you can make more than 15 different products. And if you give a license to a sugar complex, then India can become a king, a global king in sugar industry and sugar, because we can sell the cheapest sugar possible across the globe, and we can give the highest rate to our farmer. Now, this is a book, and this is all documented, and you can read, and you will be surprised that in 70s he had given this idea of ethanol, how the ethanol can reduce your petrol bill, how you can use kenite board. Still India is importing, and you can make kenite board with the help of sugarcane easily. So a vex has been a vex is there which has been used, and we are still importing that vex from abroad. And in 1970 he introduced this book and tell the people, like, and was requesting the government and different governments and ministers, asking them to stop giving a license for a sugar factory and start giving a license for a sugar complex. Later on, when he start his social reforms, and he'd given his entire 100% to those things, he started writing books. And when he started writing books, his best part was that he don't confine himself, to one single topic. The most of, like, I come across a lot of legions. They actually confine themselves to one particular topic or one particular aspect of the society. But Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti is an exceptional in that case, because as I show you these books, that Krishi Kranti and Kisan Netritva, then there is another book says Ganna Chini Samasya and Samadhan. These are based on the agriculture issues. At the same time, he wrote a book, Nari Utthan or Patan, Nari Utthan or Patan. Now, this is about the equality of women being, because Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti was a strong believer that that a woman is actually more powerful than men. And in our society, in our culture, woman has been just make a showpiece, and that was one of the biggest damage has been done by the religion and the social structure of a country, that half of the workforce has been but not been given the proper treatment. अगर मैं हिंदी में कहना चाहूँ तो कि जो नारी है उसको ये माना गया है, भारती जी मानते थे कि वो पूरी तरीके से वो पुरुषों से बराबर ही नहीं, पुरुषों से बेहतर है बहुत मामलों में। और यही वो कारण था कि जब जो भारत की जो सामाजिक परिस्थितियां रही, जो धार्मिक परिस्थितियां रही, उसके चलते भारत की आधी आबादी जो महिला आबादी है वो अपना ना हक पा पाई, उसको मिल पाया, और साथ ही साथ उसके साथ जो शोषण है वो उतना बुरे स्तर पे रहा और उसको एक सजावट की वस्तु बना के रख दिया गया। पूरी दुनिया में जो औरत है वो पुरुषों के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिला के इकोनॉमी में अपनी भागीदारी देती है, समाज में अपनी भागीदारी देती है, लेकिन भारत की जो व्यवस्था है उसमें नारी को का बहुत पतन किया गया है। उसी को लेके उन्होंने ये किताब लिखी, नारी उत्थान और पतन। दूसरी किताब उन्होंने, एक और किताब उन्होंने लिखी है, वो है लुटेरा हिंदुत्व बनाम कमेरा हिंदुत्व। ही टॉक्स अबाउट द कल्चर बेसिकली इन दिस, के दो तरह के हिंदू हैं। एक वो हैं जो लुटेरी संस्कृति के लोग हैं, जो पाखंड पे और दूसरी चीजों के पे आधारित होके जो समाज को लूट रहे हैं, लुटेरा हिंदुत्व उसको उन्होंने कहा है। और वहीं दूसरा हिंदू है जो कमेरा हिंदू है, जो अर्जित करने में लगा हुआ है। those Hindus who are actually dedicated to the work, and they are actually earning, they are the people who earn for the country, and they are not the parasites basically. So this book's Lutera Hindutva banam Kamera Hindutva is actually on those lines. Then he wrote another book on the political issues. This is Niti se Bhatki Rajniti, right? Now, in this this book, he says, he always says, there is one very famous phrase of him, that कि देश नेताओं से चलता है नीतियों से नहीं. And when he says कि देश नेताओं से चलता है नीतियों से नहीं, he believes in that, because it is the policy that makes the country grow. It's not the leader. And he was a firm believer on that. And today we can see like how we choose a leader, and a leader without a policy has actually had given us minus 23.9 GDP. So at that time also, like he evaluated those time leaders and try to tell the masses that how the policies are more important than the leadership. And as a democracy, as a mature democracy, we must give 100% on the policy making rather than worshipping a leadership. The another book he write is Mahan Bharat ke Bone Neta. Now, in this book, he was talking about the country as India. Now, India is one country who got all kind of weathers. Not usually many countries have this legacy. We can grow. We have extreme winter conditions. We have extreme hot weather. We have extreme rainy season with us. We have a tropical forest with us. Then we have, like, as in India, as a country, natural resources. We are one of the best countries in the world, but because we have a very pathetic leaderships, the leaders of this country are so bad. So he was actually, in this particular book, he was talking about that. India is a big country, and we are proud of that. That we belong to such a big, wonderful country. But this country is not able to perform because of his bad leaders that are there. And on that issue, he wrote that book. Then another book he wrote was Samajwad, Darshan and Acharan. Now, Samajwad, Darshan and Acharan, when he took a world tour, actually he was not only studying the agriculture pattern of different countries, he was also trying to read the social and the political structure of those countries. And he whatever experience he gained on that, on his perceptions, he wrote this book. And he wrote like Samajwad, that was one of a very famous phrase. He says कि समाजवाद समाज का दर्शन है. And in this book, he write why he says that the Samajwad Samaj ka darshan hai. Because there are different countries who are on the socialist pattern, and they have different policies. So Samajwad, basically, when we talk about socialism is basically on it's a mirror of that particular society. So Samajwad Samaj ka darpan hai. Then another book he wrote was Samajwad or Communist Party. Actually, this was quite interesting. He wrote a very small books, just to because the idea behind writing these books is not about getting these books in some big libraries and big institutions. He wrote the book for the common person, for the common people, to understand and to get that person loaded with a lot of logical and rational thinking, and scientific thinking for that person. So he wrote these books for the common people, and very small books. Now, this particular book he wrote because he had a very good interaction with one of a communist in Bihar, and he asked a lot of big questions. And communism and socialism, it's not easy to define them, and to if somebody asks, I remember when I was a small, like I was in my 12th standard at that time. I just asked him one day, then, Babaji, what is the difference between a communism and socialism? And he just laughed and smiled at me, and he says, okay, you not might not able to understand it now, but I'll tell you, where communism ends, socialism starts. So this is one definition he gave me in just one single line, and now I understand what he actually means to say that by that. Another book that he wrote is Siddhantहीन Rajniti के दुष्परिणाम. Right? This is also a book he wrote about the political scenario of the country, and the kind of politics that was going around at that time, and there was no principle. And today we can see this is the worst time we can think about, because now the political ethics are nowhere. There are not a single political party is actually looking or following the political ethics at all. And he wrote a book on that. Then there is another book he wrote. It's now on the some hardcore things. Brahmanwad ki Shav Pariksha. Now, this book actually tells you about the Brahmin practices that was there in the society, and how that actually destroy the Indian society. The another book he wrote is Dharm Ka Dhanda. Now, in this particular book, he wrote about how the different religions, they have actually become a business model for some people, and what are the big costs that humanity is paying because of that. There is another book he wrote. This is Ishwar Ki Khoj. Now, in this particular book, he was talking about different religion across the globe, how this concept of God has been evaluated, how the people have started thinking about talking about God, and how they were actually, this whole concept has spread across the globe, and what are the scientific the scientific answers to all those questions that has been related to God and spirituality. So he tried to get make a one small capsule for all the answers. People who are actually not atheist, but they are the followers of particular religion. If they able to read this book, if they read this book, there are a lot of things going to be clear from their mind. It's a wonderful book. Another book he wrote was this Paap Punya Kyun Kaise. This was a very interesting book he wrote, and this book was actually been written with the idea that when he was when he goes to different part of the country, he was traveling, taking talking to his audience and taking special training programs. तो हम लोग उसको अर्जक संघ में कहते थे, अर्जक प्रशिक्षण शिविर्स. And the karyakarta used to ask lot of questions, because he was very fond of that. Maharaj Singh Bharti is very fond of people asking question to him, and he was giving answer to those questions, and all kind of questions. He was just like, okay, ask me anything you want, ask me anything you want. And people just run out of questions sometimes. कि जी अब पूछें क्या आपसे. So this book was actually, based on that. There are a lot of questions that people used to ask him, and he tried to get those questions and their answers with scientific reasoning to it. You know, like very small things, like if somebody says कि जी चींटियों को जिमाना पाप है कि पुण्य है, so he was giving a reason for that कि why it is not good, why it is a sin कि आप चींटियों को जिमा रहे हैं, या जो आप हवन करते हैं ये पाप है कि पुण्य है. तो हवन, why the havan is not good for us, for the environmental reason. And he always tried to give a scientific reasons for that. That was one thing you won't find with any other writer, with any other politician, any other social activist who actually emphasize so much on science. And that was the core. I think Maharaj Singh Bharti was a firm believer that just criticizing some books, criticizing Mahabharata, criticizing Ramayana will not actually help you anywhere. There was one very interesting episode when Dr. Lohia was live. He used to get a discussion happens in Socialist Party. Draupadi Adarsh Nari hai ya Sita, and there was another topic about Ramayana. And he used to organize Ramayana melas also, that Lohia ji. And both these are warriors, Ram Sarup Verma and Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti. They have took that thing with a very different approach. One side where Ram Sarup Verma had criticized actually and gave a lot of reasons to Lohia ji that why we should not go for something like Ramayana Mela and Sita and Draupadi. Maharaj Singh Bharti condemned that thing altogether. He says it's a total waste of time, because these epics are actually, these are epics. They are not the real stories. And discussing all these things is actually a waste of time. You don't need to discuss on this. And if the party has to discuss, then let's discuss on practical issues which are there right in front. So that was the approach of Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti. And last not the least, Srishti and Pralay. Srishti or Pralay. This is a book that Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti. This is one of the greatest creation, I can say that, because in Arjak Sangh we don't find this kind of a literature anywhere. I go to a lot of social movements. I go to a lot of places. I talk to a lot of people. I really don't find a match to this particular book. In this particular book, he had actually read almost 30 different authors across the globe and a lot of scientific research, and he did a lot of research on that. And he quoted all those 40 books that he had actually taken a reference of this. And he wrote this book, Srishti and Pralay, with an idea that if anybody have just, you know how to read, he can get all the answers about the creation of the universe, how the matters behave, how we get created, how we, the total, the chain that is there, and what is atom, what is nuclear, what is genes, what is DNA, how this the entire earth and the entire universe get, has been created, and what are the possible disasters, how it's going to be, the pralay, how it's going to end, and about those possibilities also he write. And this is the ultimate book that anybody, if our dalit, if our dravids, if our shudras, or if those students in their 8th and 9th standard, if they read this book, I can promise you they can never have any problem with the science and with the science studies. And if a normal common person can read this book, he can never be in the grip of those taboos and on those religious stupidities that is there in our society, because it caters all the answers that you think about, all the answers, all the possible answers. And these are the few books that I have showed you, has actually tell you about the personality of Maharaj Singh Bharti. He didn't just confine himself to one or thing or two subjects or three subjects. On every aspect of the society, he had wrote a book. He had said his vision clear on it, and he tried to address all the questions with a scientific temperament. We always talk about scientific temperament. A lot of people, when we go and when we talk about things, everybody says that yes, we need to go for a scientific temperament. But what is scientific temperament exactly means? What are the the reasons that we supposed to tell our people, how we can make them understand about science? So that is one thing on which Maharaj Singh Bharti work hard. And throughout his life, whatever the earning that he got, whatever he earned as a student, because throughout his life he was a student till his death, he was a student. He passes away on 14th September 1995, and with tuberculosis. And he actually given up his entire body. He donated his entire body to Meerut Medical College. He donated his eyes, because he was of thinking that in a human body there are certain parts which can be used to give a life to other person. So he donated his entire body, and the skeleton can be used for further studies for the medical students. So that was his thinking. And why he was so important, why we must try to understand what Maharaj Singh Bharti have given a message to the society, was his last message that he had given, to a written message he had given to the speaker of Lok Sabha and the speaker of Vidhan Parishad, and he wrote to them that after my death, please don't call me Swargya, because it will be an insult to me, because throughout my life I was fighting, and I was telling my people that there is no Swarg, there is no Nark. And if after my death, if the house called me Swargya, it will be an insult to my life, and to whatever the knowledge that I have gained, and the belief that with which I have lived my entire life. I don't see any other politician has the guts to do that. Nobody, I don't remember, not a single politician in the country who got a guts to write to, the house and telling them, please don't call me Swargya, because I don't believe in Swarg and Nark. So that is what Maharaj Singh Bharti was. And his entire life, his entire life. If anything, you just, if you read one para of his writing, you will able to understand that okay, this person is actually talking about science in everything. I don't know how he do that, because the kind of knowledge that he attained in his lifetime, it is, I think, because of that he was able to relate all the problems, all the issues, on the day to day life, that and he was of a firm believer that the society and the country and the nation cannot grow cannot grow if we don't have a scientific temperament. So it is a duty of a politician. He was the only politician I know who says that it is a duty of a politician to educate and to get the scientific temperament in the last person of the society. The last person who is standing there should be of the scientific temperament, and for that he wrote all the literature. He actually had a lot of speeches. I have the original collection of his speeches, and we are releasing those speech on a YouTube channel with the name of Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharti. Only we have already issued, I think, 10 or 11 clips of it. And when you going to listen to all those audio clips also, you will understand the what actually Maharaj Singh Bharti dreamed about the Indian society, how he want the Indian society to be so unite, and uh, being of because he knows when he go through a world tour, he understand one thing, that it is only the science who going to lead the world, nothing else. And only the scientific temperament can take our people on the level of equality. Dignity of labor cannot come if you don't have a scientific temperament. If you are a religious person, you cannot be give a dignity of labor to anyone. And I'm very hard on that, because I also have understood this thing, and I have also observed this thing in the society, even in our Shudras, you know even in a Dravid society, we find somebody who is below us, because the entire caste system and the entire fabric, the social fabric of Indian society is such. So we have to understand that we all are Homo sapiens, and we all are one. That's it. We cannot just uh, start taking one person to another person on the basis of the caste and the religion. We have to take one person and another person on the basis of science, and he is also from us. He's also one of us. We have to give total dignity of labor, so that every person is respectable. And this cannot be achieved only once we have a scientific temperament in the society. And this is one thing Maharaj Singh Bharti had given his entire life, just to educate the people, educate the society, and let the people understand the importance of science, importance of humanity, importance of equality, and importance of education. Thank you so much. And you have listened to me. I don't know whether I've crossed that 1 hour time limit, or still I have a time to tell, because I can keep on saying, I mean, I have a lot of things to share with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Manish Bharti ji. It was really good and insightful, very systematic presentation. It's almost 1 hour 30 minutes.
Oh my God!
So,
oh my God!
So it was
so sorry.
So you have touched upon many dimensions of Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati life, his vision of egalitarian society, his contribution as a politician, his contribution as a thinker, writer, his contribution with Arjak Sangh, his contribution, his work with Ram Swarup Varma, his contribution to think about agriculture, scientific temper, is is wide range of things that he visited different countries, learned the languages, he was interested learning languages to learn the knowledge from different societies, going abroad, visiting the farmer places, staying with them is something very inspiring. So you have touched upon many aspects. We are very thankful to your presentation. I think hopefully those books which are available in Hindi, particularly maybe circulated within North India, hopefully his life and struggle as a collection will come hopefully soon in English, so that world will come to know his contribution, and is your effort to digitalize his contribution through YouTube channels will also have a great impact, and the new generation of activists and writers will certainly take inspiration from those efforts. Now, I would like to call upon Siddharthji. Are you there? Siddharthji, Dr. Siddharthji. If Siddharthi is not there, I request Manoj Kumar sir to speak for 10 minutes. The aspects that Manish sir was not able to elaborate. So please add some more information if you are able to. Of course, presentation was very elaborative. So since you are directly involved in Arjak Sangh, so your observation also help the participants to understand Maharaj Singh Bharati life. Manoj Kumar.
Hello.
Yeah, please. Yes. Yeah, please.
I would like to tell.
No, your voice is not clear.
I would like to express my voice is not clear.
Yeah. So if you can you stop your fan and everything, and so that you can able to speak properly. Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
I would like to express my view in Hindi.
Please speak in Hindi also.
बहुत सारी बातें जो है आप लोगों के समक्ष रखी है, और चौधरी महाराज सिंह भारती जी का व्यक्तित्व इतना बड़ा है, इतना विशाल है, उसका दायरा इतना ज्यादा है कि बहुत कम समय में उसको बयान नहीं किया जा सकता। भारती जी का जो अपना सोच समझ, उनका जो चिंतन था, वो भारत के समाज के लिए और यूं कहें कि पूरे मानवता के लिए, पूरे ह्यूमनिज्म के लिए जो है वो डेवलपमेंट के लिए था, उसकी बेहतरी के लिए था, उसका अच्छा के लिए था। भारती जी जैसा कि मनीष जी ने अपनी बात को रखा है कि वो बहुत सारी किताबों को लिखे, और चूंकि उनका बैकग्राउंड जो है शुरू से वो सामाजिक और
Sorry, sir, sound is not clear.
Manoj Kumar ji, please, your voice is not clear.
आवाज आ रही है?
Your voice is not clear.
It may be technical problem.
Yeah, I think some technical problem. So please try to correct those technical problems. We will come back to you. So we will come back to you. Please try to set up those technical problems. So I request participants to pose a question directly, or you can message. Anybody? Anybody having?
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, Govind Nishad is asking a question. Govind, you can unmute yourself and pose a question. Govind. Go. So you directly, so you can unmute Govind and you can ask a question, or you can message directly to the speaker. So anybody?
हेलो सर, गुड इवनिंग।
Yeah.
जी, गुड इवनिंग
सर, मैं सतीश सिंह बोल रहा हूँ। सर, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने बहुत ही व्यवस्थित तरीके से अपनी बात भारती जी पे रखी। मैं वाकई में मैं नहीं जानता था इतना जितना कुछ आपने बताया। मेरा प्रश्न मनोज भारती जी से। सर, आप अपने लेक्चर के दौरान आपने बताया कि भारती जी ने एक बार अपनी परिभाषा कम्युनिज्म को लेकर बताई कि जहाँ कम्युनिज्म एंड होता है वहां से सोशलिज्म स्टार्ट होता है।
जी।
तो मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि थोड़ा सा और इलोबरेट करें तो हमें भी समझ में आए कि कैसे जहाँ एंड होता है वहां से सोशलिज्म स्टार्ट होता है। तो इसकी थोड़ी जानकारी और इलोबरेट करके आप बताएंगे तो अच्छा होगा। इतना ही, शुक्रिया सर।
एक्चुअली आप सुन पा रहे हैं मेरे को?
या
जी सर, बिल्कुल। जी सर, बिल्कुल।
गौतम जी, दरअसल देखिए, जो समाजवाद और जो वामपंथ, जो दो विचारधाराएं हैं, ये विचारधाराएं लगभग 80% एक सी हैं। इनके जो आधार हैं वो लगभग एक से हैं। और बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है जब आप एक आम आदमी को इन दोनों के अंदर भेद बताने की कोशिश करते हैं। लेकिन जो भेद है वो बहुत स्पष्ट है। और अपनी बात को मैं क्योंकि जो वैचारिक जो बुद्धिजीवी वर्ग है उनको तो बहुत भारी भरकम शब्द चाहिए गौतम जी अपनी बात को समझाने के लिए। लेकिन एक साधारण व्यक्ति को समझने के लिए मैं अपने बात को उदाहरण से बताना चाहूंगा कि जहां एक तरफ कम्युनिस्ट देशों के उदाहरण हमारे पास रूस और चाइना जैसे मुल्क हैं, और उनका जो पूरा का पूरा तंत्र है और जो उनकी सामाजिक संरचना को आप देखते हैं, वहीं जो समाजवादी मुल्क हैं वो स्कैंडिनेवियन कंट्रीज हैं, डेनमार्क जैसे मुल्क हैं, हॉलैंड जैसे मुल्क हैं। तो आप उनको जब आप देखेंगे तो उन मुल्कों में जो भेद आपको दिखाई देगा वही समाजवाद और वामपंथ का भेद है। दरअसल मार्क्स ने एक बात कही थी कि पदार्थ के द्वंद्व को आप कभी रोक नहीं सकते। पदार्थ का निरंतर द्वंद्व ही नए पदार्थ का सृजन करता है, और विचारों के जो द्वंद्व है उसको भी आप नहीं रोक सकते। निरंतर द्वंद्व जो विचारों का होता है उससे नया विचार को सृजन मिलता है। लेकिन परेशानी ये हो गई कम्युनिज्म के अंदर, कम्युनिस्टों के साथ एक दिक्कत ये हो गई कि जहां जहां कम्युनिस्ट सरकारें आई हैं ज्यादातर जगह, वहां पदार्थ का द्वंद्व तो रहा निरंतर। उन्होंने साइंटिफिक डेवलपमेंट बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे किया, लेकिन विचार के द्वंद्व को वहां पे तानाशाही से रोक दिया गया, दूसरे विचार को जगह नहीं मिली। सोशलिज्म में हम देखेंगे कि उस तरह की चीजें नहीं है। हालांकि ये विषय बहुत गंभीर विषय है और मैं असल में इसमें कोई बहुत ज्यादा विषय अपनी आप को एक्सपर्ट नहीं मानता हूँ और हूँ भी नहीं। लेकिन जो मेरी समझ है वो यही कहती है कि जो समाजवाद और जो कम्युनिज्म का जो भेद है वो बहुत थोड़ा सा भेद है, बहुत हल्का भेद है। उसको समझना भी जरूरी है। और जिन लोगों को इसमें विषय में इंटरेस्ट है उन्हें भारती जी की जो 2 किताबें मैंने आपको बताई हैं, समाजवाद दर्शन और आचरण और समाजवाद और कम्युनिस्ट पार्टियां, इन 2 किताबों को अगर आप पढ़ लेंगे तो निश्चित तौर पर आपको जो भी सवाल इन 2 विषयों पे हैं कम से कम उसके बारे में बहुत बड़ी क्लियरिटी आपको मिल जाएगी। क्योंकि भारती जी के साथ एक सबसे अच्छी बात यह है उनकी लेखनी में कि वो कभी बायस नहीं रहे। हालांकि वो समाजवादी रहे और ताउम्र समाजवादी रहे, लेकिन इसके बावजूद वो हमेशा ये कहते थे कि हमें जो कम्युनिस्ट हैं उनसे किसी चीज से हमारे को उनसे लड़ना नहीं है, क्योंकि लड़ना जो है वो संवाद को रोकता है। आपको निरंतर संवाद रखना है, उसको दायरे में रख के रखना है। और अगर आप संवाद रखेंगे तो निश्चित तौर पर आप जो वो विचारों का जो द्वंद्व है वो निश्चित तौर पे आपको बेहतरी की तरफ लेके जाएगा।
Manish Bharati ji, so Govind Nishad will directly messaging you his question. And before that, so how many books are written by Maharaj Singh Bharati ji, and where these books are available right now? Are they available right now in the market?
Yes, they are very much available, and I will send you an address of Kanpur, because actually these iconic people, Maharaj Singh Bharti and Ram Saru Verma ji, they have actually given their entire literature to Arjak Sangh. So Arjak Sangh is actually they are the one who are actually own the entire literature part. So we have a press in Kanpur, and there was a publisher named Dr. Hajari Lal Gupta, and we share details of his address and phone numbers. So anybody who is interested in their literature can ask, and they can get the literature from them. And Maharaj Singh Bharti wrote approximately 18 books actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
15, 16 so I have already showed you. There are 4 books more which are actually I'm just run out of them. So yeah.
So I think can you check your chat box? Govind.
Can you read that question for me? Actually,
it is in Hindi. So that is why I am asking Govind to directly unmute and ask a question.
Yeah, he can answer, because see, I have a problem in reading on the screen, so I couldn't write.
Yeah, Govind, please ask a question in Hindi.
यस सर। सर पहले तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर, जो जैसे वो किसान मूवमेंट में भी इन्वॉल्व थे और जो सोशल रिफॉर्म्स मूवमेंट थे उसमें भी वो इन्वॉल्व थे, तो वो कौन से जो मेथड्स थे जिनको वो इस दोनों में यूज के, आजकल सर ऐसा संभव नहीं हो पाता है कि आपको ऐसे कौन से में वो सूत्र थे जो जिससे वो दोनों किसान मूवमेंट भी साथ में चला रहे थे और समाज सुधार आंदोलन ने। और मुझे एक और चीज समझना, जो वो सूत्र थे उसको जो मंडल राजनीति जब शुरू हुई तो उसने उसको कैसे प्रभावित किया सर, मुझे ये समझ।
देखिए थोड़ा सा अगर हम इतिहास को देखें, भारतीय राजनीति के इतिहास को, तो हम पाएंगे कि जो आजादी से पहले भी जो पॉलिटिकल थॉट, जो सामाजिक आंदोलन की लड़ाई लड़ रहा था, सामाजिक लड़ाई लड़ रहा था, वो एक्चुअली में सोशलिस्टों का ही एकमात्र पॉलिटिकल थॉट था। आप चाहे भगत सिंह की किताबों को पढ़ लें तो आपको उसमें भी समाज के जो दबा कुचला वर्ग है उसके बारे में आपको दिख जाएगा, सुनने को मिल जाएगा। और आजादी से पहले जितना भी सामाजिक मूवमेंट था, जाति तोड़ो सम्मेलन 1964 में हुआ, समाजवादियों ने किया। वो लोहिया जी का उसमें एक बहुत जबरदस्त, उसके अंदर एक भाषण है जो लखनऊ में हुआ था, उसके ऊपर एक किताब छपी हुई है जिसमें जो 4 सर्वश्रेष्ठ भाषण छपे थे उसमें एक भाषण चौधरी महाराज सिंह भारती का भी था। और उस वक्त बल्कि जो समाज में जो लड़ाई, जो समाजवादी जो राजनीतिक दल लड़ रहा था, विचारधारा लड़ रही थी, वो असल में वो हिंदू जातिवाद के खिलाफ नहीं लड़ रहे थे, वो पूरे जातिवाद के खिलाफ लड़ रहे थे। और उसमें मुसलमानों में जो इस्लाम को मानने वाले लोग हैं, किताब के हिसाब से तो उनके अंदर जाति प्रथा नहीं होनी चाहिए, लेकिन भारत अपने आप में एक उत्कृष्ट उदाहरण है कि किस तरीके से जब धर्म गलत तरीके से किसी समाज को तोड़ने पे आता है तो कहां तक उसका नुकसान करता है। हमारे यहाँ इस्लाम के अंदर भी जाति प्रथा हिंदुओं से ज्यादा है। तो अगर आप लोहिया जी की मृत्यु से पहले के जितने भी आप मूवमेंट देखेंगे, दरअसल अंबेडकर साहब की मृत्यु के बाद और लोहिया जी की मृत्यु तक का वो जो एक कालखंड है भारत की राजनीति में, उसमें सामाजिक आंदोलन सिर्फ समाजवादियों ने ही लड़े। और वो सामाजिक आंदोलन उन्होंने सिर्फ हिंदू धर्म के लिए नहीं लड़े हैं, जाति प्रथा को खत्म करने के लिए हिंदू और मुसलमान दोनों वर्गों के अंदर वो लड़ाई रही। और क्योंकि वो जो किसान राजनीति है वो तो हमारी रीढ़ की हड्डी रही है, आजादी से पहले भी और आजादी के बाद भी, तो किसान राजनीति को तो कभी छोड़ ही नहीं पाएंगे लोग। तो ये इसी वजह से ये संभव था कि उस दौर में जो लोग सामाजिक आंदोलन की लड़ाई लड़ रहे थे वही लोग किसान की लड़ाई भी लड़ रहे थे, वही लोग मजदूर की लड़ाई भी लड़ रहे थे। समाजवादी लोग, कम्युनिस्ट लोग, ये अगर आप इनकी पूरे उस वक्त के जो संघर्ष को देखेंगे तो वो संघर्ष मजदूरों का, किसानों का और सामाजिक न्याय की लड़ाई का ही आंदोलन था। ये तो बाद में हमने थोड़ा थोड़ा आगे चल के, और इसमें हम कह सकते हैं कि हम इसमें ब्राह्मणवाद की चपेट में आ गए कि ब्राह्मण ने उसको एक वर्ण विशेष का वो बना के इसको इस तरीके से कर दिया गया है कि आज हम जो इस मुस्लिम है या जो दूसरे धर्मों के अंदर जो जातिवाद है, उस जाति प्रथा के बारे में हम बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, जबकि वो भी इस भारतीय समाज का हिस्सा है। और हम लोग ये मान के बैठ गए हैं कि सामाजिक आंदोलन अलग है और राजनीतिक और जो किसानों के आंदोलन है ये अलग है। अर्जक संघ जब स्थापित किया गया वर्मा जी और भारती जी के द्वारा, उसके जो उद्देश्य बताए गए हैं, उस उद्देश्य में बिल्कुल स्पष्ट तौर से लिखा हुआ है कि अर्जक संघ सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक और आर्थिक तीनों विषयों के ऊपर अपनी लड़ाई लड़ेगा समाज के अंदर। तो सामाजिकता जो है वो जो बराबरी की लड़ाई है, जिसमें हमने सिद्धांत दिया था, बोलचाल, उठन बैठन और खान पीन की समानता के बारे में हम लोग बात करते हैं। अगर इन तीन बातों के ऊपर समानता नहीं है तो समानता नहीं मानी जाती है समाज के अंदर। और वही जो सांस्कृतिक है, उसमें हमने जितने भी ब्राह्मणवादी त्योहार हैं उन सभी को हमने पूरी तरह से नकार के और सिर्फ 2 संस्कार दिए, जो शादी का, जो अर्जक पद्धति से हम लोग शादी कराते हैं, जिसमें कोई पंडित, कोई मंत्र उच्चारण नहीं होता, और जो अंतिम संस्कार होता है वो शोक सभा के तौर पे होता है, उसमें कोई मृत्यु भोज या किसी तरह का पाखंड नहीं होता है। और हमने मानववादी 14 त्योहार दिए हैं, जिसमें अम्बेडकर साहब का जैसे जन्मदिन है तो हम चेतना दिवस के तौर पे मनाते हैं। पिछले 52 साल से अर्जक संघ इस तरह के त्योहारों को और इस रीतियों को मना रहा है। और जो हमारा जो आर्थिक वाला पहलू है, उसमें हम मानते हैं कि जो समाजवाद की नीति है वही पूंजीवाद की काट कर सकती है, क्योंकि पूंजीवाद तो जो डिस्पैरिटी है, पूंजीवाद का मतलब ही डिस्पैरिटी को बढ़ाना है। पूंजीवाद का मतलब ही, अगर मैं साधारण शब्दों में कहूं, तो पूंजीवाद ही आज का नव ब्राह्मणवाद है। तो उस नव ब्राह्मणवाद का मतलब है पूंजीवाद। उस पूंजीवाद से कौन लड़ सकता है? उसके खिलाफ आप सिर्फ समाजवाद के थ्रू ही लड़ सकते हैं। आर्थिक रूप से जितनी आप विषमताओं को दूर करेंगे, उतनी ही आप सामाजिक विषमताओं को भी दूर करेंगे। ये मानना बिल्कुल गलत है और अर्जक संघ 50 साल से यही बात समाज को समझाता आया है। वर्मा जी, भारती जी लगातार अपने किताबों के माध्यम से, अपनी बातों से यही कहते आए हैं कि सामाजिक डिस्पैरिटी को जब आप दूर करेंगे तभी जो सामाजिक डिस्पैरिटी वो दूर होगी। ये संभव नहीं है कि आप सामाजिक उसके ऊपर लड़ाई लड़ें और आर्थिक विषय को आप छोड़ दें। ये दोनों लड़ाई आपको इकट्ठा होकर ही लड़ना पड़ेगा। जी जी गौतम जी। सर आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
So I think you made a point that Arjak Sangh was very clear in bringing the alternative practices
Right.
for the common people. I think today only I saw the one of the cultural rituals. There is some small book on Arjak Sangh published by Arjak Sangh, how they conduct the marriage without
Exactly.
priest.
Exactly.
So I think that itself is a big big alternative thinking. So how do you avoid all the rituals, all Brahmanical rituals, both in your death and in your birth, in your marriages, in your family affairs? I think that is one of the, I think, see, in Bihar, in some part of the Uttar Pradesh, people still practice that way of
marriage. Every month we have more than 5-6 weddings are there happening in Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, and in fact we have keeping that thing also in mind, that when we talk about gender justice, now a very funny thing I like to point out here, that you go to across the globe, you go to any ritual, any religion, you don't find this wedding part has been taken care by any lady. Whether it's Islam, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Hinduism, any religion you go, nowhere the women had given this right. But in Arjak Sangh, we had given this right to the ladies, and there are a lot of ladies who conduct these wedding ceremonies, and it's like when we say Manavadi Tyohar, that is also very important, because it's only the national holidays and the birthdays of those people who had sacrificed for the society and for the nation, whether it is Ambedkar Sahab, whether it is Phule, whether it is the Birsa Munda, and even our both our legion leaders like Chaudhry Maharaj Singh Bharti, his birthday, 1st November, we celebrate as Vigyan Divas, and Ram Sarup Verma's birthday on 22nd of August, we celebrated as Kranti Divas. So we have in total 14 Tewhars, and we condemn these Brahmin rituals and practices altogether. And we try to tell the people that if you are with scientific temperament, then you start thinking logical and you start thinking rational. So that is the basic of our organization. We want to give an alternate to the society about the Brahmanism practice and the Brahmanism culture, because that is important. If that culture remains in within our families, we can never get out of it. We need to condemn them. We need to discontinue those things from our day-to-day life, from our day-to-day, from our important functions, from our important, events of our life, and try to get a new kind of culture, which is actually not based on any kind of taboos or those andavishwas and pakhand and those things. So Arjak Sangh was giving an alternative to all those things. We have festivals, Manavadi festivals. We have the wedding sanskar, then we have the antim sanskar, and we have a social thinking, the economic thinking on socialism, the socialist pattern, so that the larger section of the society have a right in the total, the wealth of the country, whether it is जो बौद्धिक संपदा है, चाहे वो आर्थिक संपदा है, चाहे वो नेचुरल संपदा है, क्योंकि हम लोग का तो नारा है कि 100 में 90 शोषित है, शोषित में ललकारा है, धन धरती और राजकाज पे 90 भाग हमारा है. So that we talk about the 90% of this of the society, of the Indian society. So that's what our plan is. That's what our work is actually for the last 52 years.
Yeah. So yes, it's really good. So Manoj Kumarji, would you like to add anything? Manoj Kumarji, आप अनम्यूट कर लो. Okay.
आवाज आ रही है?
Yeah, please.
आवाज आ रही है?
Yes.
आवाज आ रही है? तो ये भारती जी ने बहुत ही डिटेल में अपनी बातों को रखा है आर्जक संघ से संबंधित भी, और जैसा कि आज का टॉपिक है चौधरी महाराज सिंह भारती से संबंधित.
मनोज जी आप अपना माइक हटा लीजिए, डायरेक्ट बोल लीजिए फोन में. मुझे लग रहा है आपके माइक में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है. आप फोन को पास रख के स्पीकर पे करके डायरेक्ट बोल लीजिए फोन में. पहले से बेटर है.
वीडियो बंद कर लो.
वीडियो बंद कर लीजिए.
ठीक है. तो हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि भारती जी तो बहुत
या प्लीज
हाँ, तो हम ये कह रहे हैं कि ये जो कि चौधरी महाराज सिंह भारती से संबंधित आज आपका ये टॉपिक है. भारती जी के बारे में बहुत सारी बातें जो आपने अभी सुनी है, निश्चित तौर पर उनके देश के मूवमेंट से शुरू हुआ, सोशलिस्ट पार्टी में रहे, और उसके पश्चात जो है आर्जक से बनाने में उन लोग बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही, और इस तरह से जो है वो समाज की दशा और दिशा जो है बदलने का जो है उन लोगों ने काम किया. बहुत सारे साहित्य लिखे, और ज्ञान के प्रति सबसे बड़ी बात है कि भारती जी बहुत बड़ा जो है डिग्रीधारी नहीं थे, मिडिल स्कूल तक की शिक्षा ही पाई थी, लेकिन ज्ञान को पाने की उनके अंदर में लड़क की ज्यादा.
सॉरी सर, आवाज सर अभी भी क्लियर नहीं आ रही है.
हाँ, कुछ प्रॉब्लम है मनोज. आपका इंटरनेट कनेक्शन शायद वीक है.
हाँ, नेटवर्क वीक है आपका.
Okay. So I thank Manoj Kumarji as also. I think next time we will get him to speak elaborately on Arjak Sangh and Ram Swarup Verma others' contribution. So if there are any questions, others can also ask. So otherwise we can close it. Anybody? I think there are no questions. Sorry. I think there are no questions. So I would like to close this by saying, on behalf of Satya Shodhak lecture series, I would like to thank Manish Bharati ji for his commitment that he showed for the chosen topic. I think this we are recording this. This you can again watch. Those who have missed, they can also watch at Satya Shodhak. Yeah, Manoj Kumarji is also showing Arjak Sandesh with Maharaj Singh Bharti ji ka with photo. I think it's Savanir. Maraka Savanir, something like that.
Yeah,
So,
it was actually a book that we have published on his 100th birthday ceremony.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Manoj Kumarji. Thank you very much. So with we are recording this lecture, and anybody can watch at Satya Shodhak Facebook page with Ambedkar profile picture, and later soon we are going to upload in YouTube. I think so that it is in English, so anybody from across globe can watch and get substantial information on Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati, his contribution, his vision of egalitarian society. So further with this, it's really this presentation lecture help us to understand the journey of Maharaj Singh Bharati contribution, and so this also helps us to engage with his books, his ideas further. I think hopefully new generation of writers, activists, scholars will do research. I think some of the institutions has to take up some research, because it's unfortunate that so though there is a big contribution of Arjak Sangh, both Ram Swarup Verma, Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati and other leaders in the Arjak Sangh, they have not documented in the universities. So if there is no PhD, if there is no book in English on Arjak Sangh contribution, I think it was a big loss to the social transformation movement in India. So therefore, my submission to the young scholars that they have to take up a research on Arjak Sangh contribution, particularly Ram Swarup Verma and Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati contribution, and people should read their books, translate in English, so that world will come to know their contribution. So with this, I thank once again Manish Bharati for delivering a wonderful lecture. And I also thank Siddharji. Somehow he missed because of net connections and all that. And I also thank Manoj Kumarji for attending this lecture. We will continue to have a dialogue further. I also thank all the participants, both in Zoom meeting and on Facebook. So that shows your interest in Arjak Sangh contribution, Chaudhary Maharaj Singh Bharati's vision. So with this, I thank everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gopani. Thank you so much.
Thank you.